Many have experienced this awakening before. Some have been filled with abilities they cannot yet understand, but for others this time comes to a many with confusion and mistrust. The senses and their energy is all-consuming to be able to accept the reality which leaves many vulnerable to those who either want to abuse their trust and be a servant for the desires of those able to convince the ego into exposing itself. Their usual character is being tested to a point where many agree to the wrong kind of help. As the many are left to their own experience, they have to cope with the many forces and malevolent thoughts that are heightened during the early stages. There is no teacher or guide for too many who are helpless to their own ignorance of the situation. The feelings are at a climax where their effects have untold problems. Lucky for them, yet not for the many who have waited and have become energy when they pass through the plane of material existence. It has been centuries since a high-profile awakening saw the many waiting to peak and hope their time has been for that moment. That moment would see an awakening that would literally shake the world, as the rebirth into the ether of the Force welcomes one of its long-awaited masters. Few and very far between has left many wondering what the whole point of their discomfort was all about, yet patience is needed for all who wish to profit or benefit, including the selfless being that emerges before the truth is explained to their new lease of energetic force. There once existed a clear path for each to take and be guided with sensible teaching that was created just for the few occasions this would take any real effects on the woken one. But each must carve out a path of their own in modern times, as there still exists a secretive and obvious threat for the newly awoken. Their symptoms, even if examined correctly, are passed off as a mental disorder, leaving many thinking a breakdown of the kind has occurred, whilst they only take this nonsense on when their claims fall on the worldly as deafness of the ears. Yet for some these can be misunderstood, and the truth behind them are hidden in proper lies that were created following a recent gathering of woken to welcome a newly woken general to the cause. This prompted those who wish to keep it private and secure to invent a modern term for the outdated ones. You may be experiencing awakening now or have already, but were left with only the huge hole that you once helped to fill. Now is a huge gap of compassion as well as unending confusion as to the purpose and your own personal role in it. This is by no means the official answer, but as dealing with this whilst attempting to understand the rest of the details that came about before and enhanced during so. There are many terms that translate into the same kind of event, albeit in a different and personal to the one experiencing this awakening. The term recently researched was the Indian Vedi's Kundalini, a term where other events have been mistaken for it but are similar in symptomatics. The term active was used mainly but in a less known degree. It follows the same understanding, as yet it does not explain the differences. Becoming activated was meant to explain the revelatio of understanding the little-known mysteries that are exposed to you through various means. The term included the unveiling and astonishment when your non-popular belief sees a sharp rise in its revealing of others which have been confirmed by others too. This can be anything from the lost world civilization that disappeared long ago and was responsible for many of the great undiscovered mysteries that still are unknown to most. In recent times this theory has gained a lot of ground, with additions from the many bringing others to a remarkable answer to many unknown mysteries. The builders of Giza's pyramids would also find they met the examinations as another that claim they were never built as tombs for greedy kings but were a part of that lost era's energy source. The two theories showed to be evident for both adders weight to the core ideas of the true age and purpose of the world's most misleading structure. Egypt was found to be not as discovered as once thought when satellite images revealed that only 10 and had been found, with most of its secrets still beneath the sands. Many have had evidence of their one examined as something entirely different from known sources. Yet gained more ground and popularity when asked to add the other mystery as part of its evidence. So while understanding another aspect entirely, what was found to help bring evidence was the mystery of the awakening amongst another ancient culture, yet were similar to the Egyptian aspect of the Ankh, meaning life force. Recently it was exposed that the Templar Knights were linked to this Egyptian history, where it was later to be denied or confirmed of any truths behind their contact with Indian culture, but exposed their links with the ancient Jedi priest warriors that attempted to restart the Sills and their work bomb a guide for others to seek. The new Jedi are of the understanding that this world could or is ending and, for most of its older ways, be ending with it. This brought on the need to find guidance for the many who wish to live in a better world made with their beliefs and not the old ones. This was met with a gathering to awaken for this sole reason, and in success saw Star Wars saga at its core. Since its release, the activated or awoken have risen in hopes they would be the driving force able to bring balance to an otherwise unbalanced world. Only when true balance is found can the repeating cycle be seen and passed. To know thyself and your history is one able to know where he came to go forward and progress to a new age of enlightenment. But this will not see the old ways be amongst this old world's survivors. To start off as a new hope requires first an end. Like a clock without has no start or end, but is still following where it ended or started in a cycle. Each from its 1977 release would become aware whilst children of the 80s and some would still only find true activation in later years. You could be awoken yourself through this film's influence either directly or indirectly. Your feelings and symptoms are very real to the individual experience, so here is a guide to its symptoms and effect. The aspects of the Force as an unseen singular energy field is regarded as a divine substance is an ancient one that remains only in these older faiths in our modern world. India and China still hold to this singularity in the faiths there. Buddha and Hindu are closest to this aspect, with many of its core themes coming from older sources such as Egypt. In Eggpipe the ancient people knew well the similar aspects of Star Wars Force. There is also a faith based upon the texts of Anu. Anu, from which Anu's kin similar to Anakin from Star Wars, was a text regarding the balance of this singularity that was later seen as the all-in-one God atom. From Greece to Rome and in between, all these empires believed the same with their own similar pantheons. But the people didn't praise the gods the same as today's adherents do, nor were these ancient priesthoods and temples like the ones known today. The Egyptian Jedi were an ancient priesthood that were known as Masters of the Force, yet they were only a warrior monk-like priesthood that attempted to return the older ways back to Egypt and the people. Their main role was to retrieve lost texts and discover the truth about many mysteries. They believed that through these mysteries they could find a hidden truth which the people would regard as proof of their order. They attempted to recover many of the lost older aspects of Anu's text, which was about balance. It is this that modern Jedi and its alliance seek to discover themselves. Their attempts to discover lost truth has been helped by the many secret sects and groups like the Knights Templar, with their recovery of many ancient secrets still known as today. Their role through history has always been distorted. The ancient gods of these pantheons were not the gods people regard as today, but they were known and seen. The lost golden era saw the people walk the earth amongst their gods, is a statement repeated in many ancient cultures. The meaning was they were not seen as single divine beings but gifted humans that would take on the role of which their skill set was purposed for. They came at a time when humanity were not civilized but warred amongst each other. They lacked laws and any order in which they possessed the skills of settling down to one place. They were hunter-gatherers long before they discovered the skills of farming and agriculture. They were the cosmic force which helped create the universe and its creation, the living one that became the feminine nature that would be responsible for all life on Earth. The Mother Earth is the living force and the natural forces. The first gods would be the early elements of life, mostly known as fire, earth, water and air. These would also become recognized with the first gods too. But much like the naming of the planets, they would take the known names or become associated with them. The sun god known as Ra would also become Kamun-Ra and other names just in Egypt. This is because the original names would also become like the title for others alike. Egyptian gods also had a lifetime of which their material form would be exhausted and they became a heavenly body such as the moon, sun, or a star constellation. Just as Osiris is known as the constellation Orion. Yet Osiris became a title of sorts for the next likewise gifted. The human origins of many gods were known too, meaning they were born the same as anyone but became gods later. The term guardians is more correct for these godlike humans. Like Osiris brought civilization, so did other cultures godlike guardians we call gods today. They created laws and rules to fit their roles and the people did not praise each one either. These guardians would not see death the same but be returned to their pantheons to serve the people. The old pantheon of gods helped and served humanity. They became gifted due to their heroic deeds they either did or died for in life. Many were known by their ancient legends that told their lives and the way they helped the people. This made them become the guardians of the people. The human body is considered to be a network of energy and information that mirrors the energy network of the whole universe. As above, so below is an ancient maxim that describes this concept. In this way of thinking, the human body is a microcosmic replica of the macrocosmic universe at large, complete with its own heaven and earth, its internal emotional weather and organ ecosystems, its rivers of blood and mountains of flesh, its mineral ores of bone and its saline oceans of cellular fluids. Kaikung helps the microcosmic human body to recharge and renew itself by plugging into the macrocosmic energy of the universe. Each cell, tissue, organ, and other part of the body emanates its own specific electromagnetic field, which pulsates at its own particular frequency and regulates its own internal energy currents, while the entire body itself radiates an auric energy field that extends about 1 meter around the surface.